to find. Hell on hell over, blows my mind. Hell over, lights my day.
What's good, guys? A very sad story coming out of New York. It came out on the 6th at 11:09 p.m. via the New York Daily News. Brooklyn girl dies after fall into Silver Lake Reservoir on Staten Island, police sources say. A 9-year-old Brooklyn girl cooling off with friends Tuesday died after falling into a reservoir in Silver Lake Park on Staten Island, authorities said. Kyemani Mitchell hopped the 3-foot fence around Silver Lake Reservoir with 7 other children and an adult family friend, and then walked to the water's edge, police sources said. They were putting their feet in the water. She slipped and went in. Police said a 31-year-old family friend tried to grab the youngster, but also fell into the water. The woman was not injured and called 911, the source said. The FDNY scuba unit pulled the unresponsive child out and rushed her to Richmond University Medical Center, but she could not be saved. The little girl was clad in a pink bathing suit, sources said. A pair of pink flip-flops remained at the scene as detectives gathered to investigate. Swimming is not allowed in city reservoirs, authorities said. They then updated the story today, the 7th at 7:40 p.m. Drowning death of 9-year-old girl in NYC Park Reservoir devastates family. She was holding onto my hand, but she let go. Samara Mitchell, her face damp with tears, kept looking toward her Brooklyn apartment door, waiting for her 9-year-old daughter, Kyemani, her guiding light, to walk through. But Mitchell, 41, knew her adored little girl would never return to their Linden House's apartment in East New York after a Tuesday afternoon celebration of a friend's graduation and the first week of vacation from school. Kyemani, decked out in pink bathing suit and pink flip-flops, drowned in the Silver Lake Reservoir in Silver Lake Park on Staten Island, slipping beneath the water after letting go of her 10-year-old sister's hand, the family said. My baby drowned in the reservoir, Mitchell, a mother of 4, sobbed. She needs to show up at my door. My baby was my guiding light. I can't believe it. Police said Kyemani and 6 other children, accompanied by an adult family friend, hopped the 3-foot fence around the reservoir to cool off on a steamy early summer afternoon, though swimming is forbidden at city reservoirs. The woman called 911 after Kyemani disappeared beneath the water. A solemn Kimora, 10, told the Daily News she tried to save her little sister. She said, "You can put your feet in the water, but don't go too far," Kyemora said, referring to family friend Jasmine Brooks, 31, who used to also live in the Linden houses and accompanied the children. Mitchell said Brooks was reunited with the family after 2 years and went along with the kids on their graduation and vacation celebration on Staten Island. We went in the water, and Kyemani said, "Hold my hand," as I was holding onto another kid's hand, the little girl recounted. She was holding onto my hand, but that's when she let go, Kyemora added. Jasmine was telling me to go get your sister, but I couldn't. She was struggling to get back, but the water was pushing her away, and then we couldn't see her anymore. Samara Mitchell said she didn't understand why the celebration wound up at the reservoir. She said neither of her daughters knew how to swim. Why were they somewhere they shouldn't be? That was a restricted area, the distraught mother said. I had no idea. I had to hear the story from my 10-year-old. It's horrible. Mitchell said it was actually the kids' second trip to the reservoir, where they had splashed around a day earlier. They'd been to the reservoir twice, Mitchell said. They went Monday. They were throwing rocks and playing, and they went into the water then, too. Tuesday, my daughter drowned. Mitchell said she and Brooks have been pals for nearly 5 years. Now she wants accountability. She was a close and trusted friend, Mitchell said. She had no business being there with 8 kids. The police say that's in the DA's hands. They say if they can get enough evidence and the DA makes the decision, they'll arrest her. I want her arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. She had no business with 8 kids there and going into a restricted area and letting them go into the water. She let a 10-year-old go into save a 9-year-old. Anybody with right sense knows she needs to go to jail. An NYPD spokesperson said nobody has been charged and the investigation of the tragic incident was continuing. Brooks could not be reached for comment. Her landlord, Asoka, I can't even pronounce the last name, said she had spoken to her briefly and that she was shaken over the tragedy. He said she told him she tried to save the child but could not reach her. She's doing bad, her landlord said. She looked like she had been crying. The kids don't want to talk to anybody. The landlord described his tenant as a nice person who called him and his wife Ma and Pa. He said Brooks' children never go out without her. Mitchell and her family were surrounded by weeping relatives and friends Tuesday night who jammed into their 3-bedroom apartment to console them. But there was no comfort for Mitchell. My baby. She'd never been to a reservoir before, Mitchell cried, glancing at the door, waiting to see her guiding light. She thought it was just water, and she should go in. Terrible, terrible tragedy. When I read the story, it just broke my heart. This mother is extremely distraught, as she should be, and she's right. This family friend, who she had known for 5 years, had no business taking the kids to a restricted area, and especially letting them get into the water, even to put their feet there. And you imagine trying to watch 8 kids, 7 kids, 6 kids, 5 kids. You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of kids to have around water, and you yourself not being able to swim. Very, very tragic situation. So my heart goes out to this family. I pray that they get some kind of comfort. I don't know if closure will ever come for her because she is so distraught. But comfort, at least. And I will be interested to see what the DA does do in this case, since she was in a restricted area. I'm not saying the woman isn't grief-stricken as well that this happened to this child, but for all intents and purposes, you did have children in an area that they shouldn't have been in. So I will follow this story to see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys.